planning and addressing important issues. This course is going to help you determine what you need to do if you are faced with a crisis in your life. I always like to describe it as the desserts of life. The word dessert spelled backwards is stressed. So I will show you how to pay for it, the kinds of care if someone needs it after leaving a hospital, and they may need to go into a nursing home, or they may need care at home. So the kind of care that's best. I'll help you understand how you make decisions regarding aging in place or aging in an institution. I'll also help you understand the kinds of communication that needs to occur between a mother, father, or significant other, children, or other people that will be responsible for helping you. I'm going to share a story with you, and I'm just going to call the people Mary and John. Mary and John met in their late 20s, 30s, early 30s. They got married. They started working. They started saving some money. And then they had some children. They raised their children from kindergarten. They went to, of course, at that time it was called junior high school. And they even saw their children they got married. They started having grandchildren. And so over the course of time, they had saved a lot of money and they had built a good life. They even got to the point where now they're at the retirement age, and they're enjoying volunteering in different organizations within the community, gardening, playing golf, just enjoying what you consider those desserts in life. But after a while, Mary and John, Mary starts noticing some differences in John. John, again, remember, they're at the retirement age. John is getting a little bit more forgetful. But one thing, as a couple, they were able to camouflage just what's going on in the home. And you will often see that, a spouse or significant other covering up. Mary's getting a little bit more uncomfortable because John is beginning to have mood swings. And what's happening is the beginning stages of dementia. And this story is to help you think about people that you know, people in your family, what's going on, and of course, what kind of decisions are going to have to be made at a given point in time. Because all of us, at some point, will either take care of a loved one, a mother or a father. We may have to have care. You often see people in their 30s and 40s who might have been riding a motorcycle, and then there's an accident, and they have to go into a long-term care facility. But again, John is beginning to have more mood swings. He's staying up late at night. And Mary, again, is uncomfortable, but they're covering up very well. Short-term memory is beginning to slip. But when they're having conversations with people, if he can't quite remember something, she'll jump in. As you often see a spouse, just take over the conversation. But they've learned how to manage. But on a particular day, John falls. And what has occurred prior to John beginning to experience changes in his mind, Mary had had a stroke, but she had gotten a lot better and was back at home. So the children would come first thing in the morning. One worked the 11 to 7 shift at night. He would check on his parents. The other one worked during the day, and he would come at the end of the day. So the son that had come by after getting off of work at 7 o'clock that morning stopped by, parents doing fine. But during the course of the day, John falls in the hall in their home. So when the other son comes through to just check on his parents about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he's finding his mother sitting there beside his father in the hallway. And he said, Mom, what happened? What happened? She said, both you and your brother are so busy. I didn't want to bother you. Your dad fell. But he could talk to me. He was okay. And I knew you were going to come by this afternoon. So I just sat there with him all day. He said, oh, Ma, you should never do that. You know you can always call. The son gets some orange juice and gets his dad off the floor and says, Dad, I think you need to go to the hospital. The dad is having nothing to do with going to the hospital. He won't do it at all. Son looks at his mother and says, well, Ma, he's going to fall again. And when he falls, we'll send him directly to the hospital. So this is on a Friday evening. The next morning, John is at a meeting downtown at the Chamber of Commerce on a Saturday morning. He gets a call from his mother, and his mother said, your dad has fallen. He said, leave him on the floor. I will call the ambulance and I'll be there. The son leaves the meeting, gets to the house, the ambulance is there, father's on the floor, and father's giving the ambulance workers a hard time. He's not going. And as I always tell people, everybody has a right to fall. And everybody has a right to make choices in life. But in this particular case, the father did need to go to the hospital. But because the individual has certain rights, if you don't have certain documents in place, when he said, I don't want to go, he didn't have to go. But the son says, I'm the healthcare power of attorney. The ambulance worker said, fine. He said, yes, send him to the hospital. We can take him. Then he said, then the ambulance driver said, well, can you help get on the gurney? The son says, no, you need to put him on the gurney. And the reason the son did have some knowledge of healthcare, because at that particular moment, if the father had assisted in getting on the gurney, an ambulance bill that could have been $800 would have then been billed to the family, because the insurance companies would have said it's not medically necessary to transport that person by ambulance. So that family would have had a $600 or $800 bill. I share that story with you of Mary and John because those were my parents. When that occurred, and when I entered the house on that Saturday, if I had not had the healthcare power of attorney, I could not have made the decision, because my father said, I don't want to go. He has the right to say no. But because I had that document and I had planned, that decreased an element of stress. In addition, by me giving instructions that, no, you just put him on the gurney, instead of the question that is customary, can you help us get on there? I saved my mother and father that ambulance bill. Went to the hospital, and then within a short period of time, he's progressing. And if you don't know the buzzwords, you don't know that when the discharge plan is coming in saying, oh, they're progressing very well, I don't see anything more that we can do. Well, what they're doing is still stretching out the billing process of which the hospital can get reimbursement. But when they start saying that, within a matter of 3 days, they're going to discharge. And that's when I've seen so many people just stressed. The hospital says, oh, in 3 days, we're going to discharge your loved one. And then they got to scurry out into the community and figure out where they're going to take him. Because then they're asking, well, I can't take care of my dad or mother at home. I don't know what to do. I don't know how much it costs. So listening to those buzzwords, I had already determined and had conversations with facilities of where I was going to take my father, who needed some long-term care or nursing care. But if you don't know these things, if you don't have these things in place, right now, at a minimum, it will cost about $75,000 a year if you're in a nursing home. Most people think Medicare is going to pay, but no, Medicare doesn't. Because Mary and John had saved some money, they had a house, the cost of care, first of all, with Medicaid, that's an assistance program. They wouldn't qualify. Medicare, most people think they got Medicare. You go to the hospital, then if you go to a nursing home, it's going to take care of it. No. In a nursing home, it will only pay for the first 20 days. From day 1 to day 20, it will pay for 100%. From day 21 to day 100, and Medicare will only pay a maximum of 100 days in a nursing facility. So from day 21 to day 100, it only pays 20%. So if you got a $20,000 bill and you've got a 20% payment that comes out of your pocket, that's about $4,000. So I'm sharing this with you so that you can start thinking, and what I will continue to share with you is answering the questions. What do I do if I'm faced with having to care for someone who needs additional assistance out of the hospital? Who's going to care for them? What kind of care? What kind of documents do I have in place? Again, I talk about those desserts of life. It's never easy if someone has to go into a nursing home. It's never easy if you got to care for someone within a home. But if you've planned well and you've had communication with your loved ones, the children, significant others, so you have documents in place, you've done some things, the stresses can turn into what might be considered desserts. It's not a wonderful experience, but it's less than being stressed. That's what I've done all my career. At any given time, people call me within the community and they ask me a question, and I will share, just based on my experiences, what I feel might help them, or if I feel they need to talk with someone else, be it an attorney, a financial advisor, I will at least steer them in the direction of the person that can give them the best decision and the person that has the qualification. That's the story I want to share with you as we continue.